Hello and welcome to the first ever episode of Sextras,
where we talk about sex and all the extras.
Yes, I'm Honey and I hate the phrase in an ideal world.
I'm Maria and I'm a nail biter.
Shameful.
I know. Anyway, welcome to Sextras.
Yes, welcome. We're so excited.
Yes, I'm so excited.
We have been planning and working very hard on this. Yeah, we are always talking about sex. We're those people who never stop talking about it and their relationships. So we're like, oh, why don't we just make a podcast about it? Seems like the natural evolution of that.
What better way to, do what we love? I feel like we should, give a little bit of a disclaimer. First of all, I mean, there's a few disclaimers that should be said. First of all, we are not here to claim that we are experts on sex, on relationships, on anything that we're going to talk about. We're literally just two 20-year-old students. We're best friends. We just like talking about sex. We have a lot of stories. We have friends with a lot of stories. And we were just like, it'd just be fun to give people put these stories out there into the world and get the conversation about sex way more normalized.
I feel like there are a lot of people talking about sex, but they're not necessarily students and they're not necessarily our age. We're just pioneers. No, I'm joking. But I think, it's important to keep the conversation open from a young age. Obviously, there are a lot of sex podcasts out there, but we want to just normalize it from as young an age as we possibly can, basically.
Yeah, I think we want to provide the fresh, just young perspective of we are going through this right now. We have the stories to deliver right now. Do with them what you will, and we'll try to tell you a little bit of oh, maybe I wish we did this, or oh yeah, this is what happened and I think this is why it's good, or I don't know, just inform you a little bit on whatever we can. And most of all, just kind of share our own experiences, get people to share their own experiences, and we can all learn from each other.
Yes, definitely. You can learn from our many mistakes and also the good things we've done.
Yes, and we want to all learn together. We're still very young. There's still a lot for us to know. So we also hope to kind of grow and learn from this podcast as well.
Definitely. So, in light of it being our first episode, we're going to be talking about first times. Specifically, I guess, sex. Obviously, that is what the name implies. But also relationships, any first, basically.
Yes, and we the idea behind this is sort of to dip our toe, you could say, into all the many topics that we want to talk about in this podcast. And that's I don't know, I feel like maybe we should break down the whole sextras idea a little bit. I think the title does refer to the idea that we're going to talk about sex quite a lot, which we are, and we do really want to do. But also, there's quite the emphasis on all those extras. What are those extras? Those relationships. There's literally, all the nitty gritty, not picture perfect stories that are fed to us in movies and TV shows. It's all the stuff behind the scenes that no one would ever necessarily want to admit to. We're here to tell you those kinds of stories.
Yeah, and we have no filter, so.
Indeed. So I think we kind of wanted to, first of all, maybe get some input from a few of our friends, get a few different stories in there, so we don't just end up talking about our own shit all the time.
Yes.
So yeah, we kind of asked people whether they had any funny or embarrassing first time stories.
Okay, so I will start. We are gonna probably have a segment at the start of most of our podcasts where we just have a bit of interaction with you guys. So if you send us your stories, that helps a lot. We very much appreciate it. We're not here to judge. We're just here to discuss. So
yes, and that's a big part of it. We want the other people's stories, not just our own shit.
Yeah, we know we're not that interesting. Obviously, having a podcast is quite self-indulgent, so we just gotta throw it out there that other people should be involved too.
Yes.
Okay, so the first one is, my first time was a drunken night with my best friend's brother on the kitchen table. He put his dick in my ass for like 10 seconds and I was like, okay, that's enough, it hurts. All the air inside me from those 10 seconds meant that when I went to the toilet, I let out a series of the largest farts of my life. That's a good one to start it off with.
I feel like we should clarify that this is a guy, because it does it like he put his dick in my ass. Yeah, so like it was like a gay sex experience, but God.
I don't even know. I can't imagine what that would be like, but good for you.
I love the best friend's brother angle, because it's like, I just feel like a lot of people like always have crushes on their like brother's best friend or like that kind of thing.
So true.
So I just feel like it's quite a win, you know?
I also feel like that's quite a common thing in like the gay community. Like you sleep with people that you like know. It's not just like strangers, whereas straight people,
I see what you
like
mean.
Maybe more. I don't know.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I feel like we should get Will, our resident homosexual, to come in and we can talk about that a little bit more.
One of our best friends.
Yeah, I've got this one about a first orgasm, actually. So she said, I was convinced I'd be one of those women that would never have one. And she always thought she knew what it felt like until it actually happened. And she was like, whoa. And she was around 18. It happened by like the guy going down on her for like 30 minutes or more. And like she finally felt something that could just not be mistaken as anything but an orgasm.
We love it.
We love it indeed. This is so like common, by the way, like not being able to come and like thinking that you can't come. Like, don't think you're broken. Like, I just feel
I wish people
like
talked about this more.
Yeah, you need like a lot of patience, especially if you're with someone else, but also just have patience for yourself. Like, because also this girl in her story said that she could never do it herself either. And I feel like a lot of girls experience that and they think like, okay, well, if I can't even like do it myself, there must be something wrong with me. But like, not at all. It's so complicated. You need so much patience. You need to like really commit to making it happen. Do you know what I mean?
I feel like it's very mental as well. Like if you have all that pressure in your mind, then it's kind of like, well, how are you gonna come? You're just not. And for me, definitely, like that is something that, like, if I'm with someone else, then it just doesn't really happen because I'm just in my head too much, whereas I can do it by myself, obviously. I mean, not obviously,
and that's so common. Don't worry about it. Don't think there's something wrong with you. And for anyone out there that is like worried that they can't make their girlfriend come, be patient.
Just be patient. Just try new
and
things.
Don't push
as well.
her. Don't be pushing her. Don't be like, oh, come on, like just a little bit longer, like to be down there because it's gonna happen. Like, no, if you're pressuring her, like it's not gonna happen. Just be completely like open to anything. Listen to her, like listen to each other's cues, and like just eliminate the pressure, throw it out the window somehow. Like, I don't know, do whatever you can.
Coming
to
doesn't have to
feel
be your
the
goal.
least amount of pressure.
Like, don't it's
exactly.
not competition. Just let it happen when it happens. There's no like right or wrong way to have sex. I mean, obviously like consensual sex, but like just take your time, experiment. That's what being young is all about.
Indeed.
The next one, I lost my virginity to a boy I had known for 3 days in Barcelona in a hotel room on a school trip. He didn't go to my school, he was with his cousin, and we never spoke after until we ended up at the same college and living in the same building. By the way, this girl is from California, so it's kind of wild that they met in Barcelona
that's crazy.
and ended up at the same college in California. Like, that's wild.
It's so crazy. That's pretty cool though. Like that they found each other again, kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it probably wasn't that pleasant of a reunion. I would have been like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah, but it's still kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
No. Okay. This is my friend who, the first girl that he had sex with, he didn't want her to like put it in her vagina, so they just like did anal. And like he lost his virginity by like doing anal, which I think is pretty wild.
Oh my god. That's really brave. I don't even know why you would be like, that is the preferred option. Like,
Yeah, but like I only see it from the girl's point of view of being like, I'd so much rather lose my virginity, quote unquote, than like have someone stick a dick up my ass for the first time. Like,
why? Like, also, if you haven't even had like vaginal sex, like, imagine you wouldn't. I can't imagine her knowing that you have to like clean up there and like the kind of preparation that has to go into anal. Like, oh,
I know,
that
right?
is just no, not for me.
Yeah.
But
It's kind of funny.
it's funny. Someone else said it was horrific. His dick was quite girthy and I was not wet. It felt like sandpaper and I cried, so we stopped. I feel like this is very relatable for a lot of people. Like, it definitely just hurts for a lot of people the first time.
Yeah, I think for me, I don't remember it hurting a lot, but I do remember it hurt. And it's kind of crazy because like now sometimes when I have sex, like sometimes it will hurt a little bit, like at the start kind of thing. It would feel like when I lost my virginity, it's just this like pain. Like it does hurt, but it's like you just kind of power through it. You're just kind of like, yeah, I mean, I'm just going to have to deal with this. And of course, I can imagine that it could be so painful that you just can't power through it. Like, and you shouldn't. Like, you should not. Like, I'm not trying to endorse like having painful sex.
I don't remember anyone ever telling me, yeah, like you're supposed to be wet before you have sex. Why is that not?
Oh my god, I didn't know that either. I had no idea. Yeah, and for ages, like by the way, like this. In case this happens to anyone, like for ages, like I just couldn't get wet. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes you just can't get wet. It is not your fault. It's not the guy's fault. It's just like, well, sometimes it is the guy's fault, but like,
and if it is the guy's fault, you shouldn't be sleeping with him.
Like, imagine someone with a really girthy dick and you're completely dry and like, I really feel for you. That being your first experience. Yeah. No, I'm nothing against girthy dicks. Just if you're not wet.
Yeah, it would just no.
She was at a party at a house that was gonna be demolished and was having sex on the floor with this guy, and her best friend walks in halfway through doggy style saying that the police was there.
Oh no, doggy style as well. Like you can't even pretend to hide it. Like it's just all
like
there
on the floor of this like abandoned house.
The fucking dirt floor. At least the police didn't walk in on you having sex, to be fair. Like I'd rather my best friend than the police.
True.
I was drunk at my mate's house at a party / gathering. I managed to get a boner, but my dick was too big to fit and also just couldn't sustain the boner, so it just sat there with the condom that had taken ages to put on, just there over my flaccid willy. I had to put porn on my phone whilst the girl was trying to get my dick hard again. Eventually it worked and we went for it a bit, but she was just being quite loud because my willy was so big. Good for you, mate. Turns out we were right above the parents' room and we were banned from the house. Just too many things going wrong. Like
so true.
If I was that girl who's with like having sex with a guy and he's like, hold on, I'm just gonna get porn up so I can get hard again, I'd literally be like, get the fuck off me. I love
now. But I love that he has no shame. Like, he's like, my dick is so big, we can't even have sex. Like, I'm just gonna put on porn. Like, I'm losing my virginity. I don't even give a fuck. Like, yeah, like I would like literally never in a million years dream to ever put up porn on my phone, let alone when I'm losing my virginity.
Imagine
like,
girls did that to a guy.
Really be good.
Like they would literally sit there and like cry over their like hurt ego and be like, can't believe you're doing this to me, it's so unfair. Like it's such a double standard.
I have another one. He said when he was around 14, like on a tennis court at an abandoned house on his road, and they were like halfway through and some like builder, like construction people came in, so they had to like stop and kind of like just pull his trousers up and run away. And then he just like had to have dinner with his family with the condom still on his floppy dick.
Oh my god. I'm loving the imagination and all of these destinations. Everyone, it's just like, it shows how imaginative you have to get when you're young and like you still live in your parents' house, like in a fucking abandoned house on the dusty dirt floor. At parties, I feel like a lot of them were at a party.
Up your ass so you're still a virgin.
Yeah. The destination and the place on your body.
Oh, there's one last one. I was at a party in the host bedroom with my boyfriend, and it was both our first times. It hurt so much that I screamed, and then my friend came into the room to tell me there was a good song playing, and she just decided to stay with us, but he was still inside me. He eventually got her to leave, and we finished, and he just went downstairs and told everyone.
Classic teenage boy thing.
Classic men.
Love it. It's so awkward having someone like come and sit beside you. I actually think this happened to me.
I feel like this has, like, I don't know, I feel like we've both, like, just kind of been in the room when we're both, like, in the, as in, like, we walk in on each other having sex and we kind of, like, just say something and then we leave, or, like, I don't know, I feel like this has happened to both of us with each other, but maybe not.
Yeah, I think kind of, but maybe not, like, losing your virginity kind of situation.
Yeah, no. And also, it was with girls, like, I feel like you can hide a lot more. I don't know, maybe not hide more, but, like, it's less weird. It's not like she was, like, it's not like someone's inside you. Do you know?
You don't have to be, like, on top of them or, like, fucking them doggy, like...
Yes, indeed. I love all those submissions. I love the variety, you know.
I love just how wild they all are. Like,
yeah,
no one just has like a really like calm experience of how their first time.
Like we lit some candles and like
Blair's
waited for the sunset to set. So true. Should we dive maybe into our own firsts?
I think we should. So...
Our first shag.
Well, maybe. Okay, I think an important thing for us to signpost here, and something that we will absolutely be coming back to at probably every single episode, is that we are both bi, and we have both been in a relationship with a girl and a guy each. We both our first relationships were with a girl, so we both lost our virginity to girls, and we also lost our straight virginity, if you will, to guys after that. Yeah, let's talk a bit about our first relationship virginity situation. I'll go first. I don't really remember exactly like the situation or the scenario. I just remember it was with my ex-girlfriend. We were also at a party, and basically it was at these people's house that we're friends with, and we know my ex was friends with the sister, and then we were kind of friends with the brother, but they would just have parties at their houses all the time. So we had sex in one of their bedrooms. I think a similar thing happened, that someone walked into the room while we were trying to have sex. And yeah, I don't know. I didn't really realize that was like me losing my virginity. Like, I didn't really think about it like that, which
I see
now seems kind of like obvious that was like me losing my virginity. But I feel like obviously you don't really get any like gay education about like sex and like what sex is. And so it's all more like blurred when you're in a relationship with a girl. Like, it's not someone takes out their dick and like puts it in you and you know you're having sex. It's more just like a few kind of events add up, and then you're kind of like, oh, I'm not a virgin anymore kind of thing. Or at least that was what it was like for me. Like, it wasn't some like momentous event where I was like, wow, we're having sex. Like, it was just kind of like playing around, and also like it was kind of like fingering, that kind of thing, and that was like stuff I had already done before. So
yeah, so one of my this is something that annoys me, which could be a bit of a risque thing to admit, but I don't really like it when, well, no, it's not that I don't like it, it's just I don't understand why like a lot of queer people, like queer women especially, get offended when someone asks like how you have sex, as in like it obviously depends, like time and place, the way you ask, like kind of tone, everything obviously depends, but I think the question in itself, I don't find it offensive at all when people ask, because I think it's like completely a fair enough question. Like,
yeah, I think no one learns about it. So it's like,
yeah, no,
how else
exactly.
would they
Like,
know?
I think it's just out of curiosity. If it's literally just out of curiosity, you don't understand. And it's
Yeah.
like, I just don't get. Surely it's better for them to ask than to just assume
Yeah.
something about you, right? Like, because you sleep with women and you're a woman, like,
Yeah.
I don't know. To me, it just seems like kind of a fair enough question, because
Yeah.
I don't even have the fucking answer. Like, I think this is quite a thing that is like, you shouldn't, like. Also, it annoys me when, like, queer women, like, say, like, scissoring isn't a thing, or, like, everyone has to stop saying, like, this is a thing, when it's like, you don't know, like, maybe you don't do it, but that doesn't mean other people don't do it. Like, you don't have any idea what anyone else does.
Yeah,
like,
so true.
the thing is, I just don't think that there's any answer to, like, oh, then what is sex for a woman? I think everyone kind of, like, I think you and yourself know when you've had sex with someone. I don't necessarily think I would count, like, fingering a girl as having sex with them.
Yeah.
But, like, I think I wouldn't be against anyone thinking that that counts as sex. Like, if that's sex to you, that's sex to you, fair enough. But, like, in my, like, losing my virginity story to a girl, which another thing that I want to say, I think as a bi person, I think that sleeping with a guy and sleeping with a girl is very different. So, like,
Yeah,
a lot of
I
the time
definitely
I'll
agree.
say, like, oh yeah, I lost my virginity when I was 16 and then my straight virginity when I was 17. And, like, I know gay people that would find that really, like, offensive, because in a way it's like saying that, like gay sex in air quotes is, like, not sex, but for me it's not like that. It's just a different kind of thing. Like,
doesn't mean it's not
I lost my
valid.
straight virginity and I lost my gay virginity, and they're both completely valid in their own way.
It's a very
but
different
they're both
thing.
different things. Yes, exactly.
With a girl, it's like, obviously we both had the experience where it was like with our girlfriends, we, like, loved them so much. We had more room to, like, experiment. Whereas, just losing your virginity to a guy is, like, it's way more black and white. Not that it definitely is just that. Every straight person, I feel like it's less questioning, and maybe there would be less questioning if we actually fucking learn about gay sex and, like, that is a thing.
Yeah, I don't know. And also, like, for me, it's kind of weird because it's like, I had definitely done stuff with my girlfriend before I would consider the night that I lost my virginity. Like, I have this night in my head and I can picture exactly what happened. It's not that we did things that we'd never done before, because we had basically done everything already. Like, we'd, like, both gone down on each other and, like, fingered each other and, like, all of this stuff. But it was just like, that night, it was kind of like everything came together, and, like, it was just a kind of a more whole experience. And then I remember feeling after that night, I was like, I'm not a virgin anymore. Like, I've had sex. And to me, so I just count that as it. But, like, a lot of people wouldn't count that as it. A lot of people would have said it was before. A lot of people would have said it wasn't until I slept with a guy. And it's like, okay, whatever. I don't really care what anyone else's opinion of what happened to my life, like, in my life. Like, I know what happened, so and this is what I'm saying. Like, I think it doesn't really matter, like, as in, you can call whatever experience you've had whatever you want to call them. Like, if you slept with a guy and it was like, you remember as a very horrible experience, and then maybe a few years later you slept with another guy and that it was actually a nice experience, you can literally just be like, okay, well, I lost my virginity to that guy, to the second guy. If you don't want to call something sex, or if you don't want to say that you lost your virginity to in this way or whatever, like, who cares? It's your life. Like, do what you want.
No one gets to dictate, like, what your idea of sex is. So, and, like, that goes with gay people, like, straight people dictating to gay people. It goes for gay people dictating to bi people. Like, literally anyone. You decide, you're in control. And just whenever you think that you feel like that.
Yeah, and then I think maybe we could talk about, like, the difference between when we slept with girls and when we slept with guys, or, like, being ready in that sense of, after I broke up with my girlfriend and I'd already had sex with her, but I'd never had sex with a guy. Like, I'd never seen a penis, and it was kind of like losing my virginity all over again. It was like completely unknown territory, and, like, for ages I wasn't ready, even though, like, in my head I wasn't a virgin anymore, like like, at least in terms of, like, in a gay way. But in the other way, I was like, no, I am kind of still a virgin. Like, I've never had a dick inside me. So that's kind of really fucking terrifying. And I think for a while, I really wasn't ready. And I'm glad that I didn't try to, like, chase it or, like, just get rid of it. because just out of necessity, like I just kind of waited until like I actually felt like I was ready, and then I feel like that just made it so much better, because I feel like even if you don't have a particularly like, yeah, I was with my boyfriend that I love so much and we put candles out and we like looked at each other and whatever, like even if it's not that experience, I think as long as you're ready and as long as you do it with someone that you trust, it will be good, or as good as it can be, kind of thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So do you want to tell the story of when you lost your street virginity, as it were?
No, yeah, it had been a while since me and my ex had broken up, and like at this point I'd only slept with girls. Like I'd kind of like dabbled in a few things with other people, but like nothing deep. And then a friend of mine that like I'd had a crush on for a really long time, and that like when I was really young, not really young, but when I was younger, I was like, this is the boy I'm gonna lose my virginity to. We like started talking again, and then like just like went to his house and we had sex. Yeah, I don't know. It was nice because we were friends and I trusted him, and like he knew I was a virgin, and he like, I don't know. Yeah, this is what I mean. Like I was just ready and I trusted him. Yeah. And it's not like we loved each other or we were even super close or anything. It's just I knew that he wouldn't do anything that would hurt me or like make me sad or like I would be uncomfortable with. And I knew I was ready. So whatever happened from then, even if it was painful, even if like maybe I didn't like it as much as I thought it would, like I knew I'd be fine because I knew I was safe, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's the best way to do it. Like, of course, it's not always going to happen like that for everyone. And I know like it happens at parties when you're drunk and all of these things. Like I know that, but I think just make sure as much as you can that you're ready. Like don't just do it to get it done.
Yeah.
Because then you might just have a really bad experience, and that's not nice.
Yeah, I think it's important to just set the tone for like your self-respect and what you want your like future sex life to be with your first time. You know, like the most important thing is that you're safe, that it's consensual, that you feel that it's with someone you trust, and yeah, you can kind of just go from there. Really, there's no ideal scenario, obviously, but do what feels right for you, I would say. Yeah, so I'll tell my story.
Yeah, because I was just thinking how our stories are so different, but like neither of us regret it, as in like it's kind of have a good outcome for both of us, and I think that's just what I mean. Like we were both just felt like we were ready,
yeah,
and it was time, like kind of thing. This is what I mean. Anyway, please do share your story.
I think I did regret it straight after, but this is why
wow.
I'm about to tell you. I had broken up with my ex quite a while before this happened, but before me and my ex had even gotten together, I was kind of, I don't know, I would say we were just like flirty. We weren't in a relationship or anything. It was just like a thing, you know. I don't know what you would classify that as, but yeah, like I think we kind of like liked each other for a bit, and then we just never really...
Wait, who? You and this boy?
Yeah, the boy that I had sex with. We never really did anything about it. And then I started dating this girl. Well, they had some... I don't know what it was. Just some pre-existing tension. Nothing to do with me. They just didn't really like each other, basically. Throughout our whole relationship, she was like, if we break up, like, you can't sleep with him, which I'm just going to say is, like, in itself not a healthy thing. Like... No one should be using what you're going to do in the future or what you've done in your past, like, against you. You can do whatever the fuck you want. But, yeah, so she was like, you can't sleep with this guy. Like, it would be the worst thing ever. Like, it'll be so disrespectful to me. Blah, blah, blah. I fully knew that going into it. She would not be okay with it. But, you know, like, we have always been flirty, and, like, it just kind of happened. We were at a party. We were in the garden and we were smoking, and then we started like getting off, and we just went outside and we had sex in a garden, which I honestly, like, when I think about it now, I don't really like remember fully what happened or like what led on to what. I just remember that it happened and I was like, oh wow. And then he was like, oh, can you not like tell anyone? And I was like, yeah, I don't really want to tell anyone until I've like told my ex, because I feel like I owe that like responsibility. But then he just told everyone anyway, and I was like, okay, well, you fucking told me not to tell anyone, but you just went and did it anyway, whatever. that's just classic teenage boy things. And then before I could tell her, my ex found out and she was furious. But I feel like that's a whole other story in itself, and like how our relationship ended and like the kind of dynamic between us. But yeah, I don't know. I hope if he listens to this, he like doesn't regret that is like how he lost his virginity. I don't know. I feel like it could have obviously happened in a better way and like in a better scenario. But yeah, I don't like regret it, and I don't feel like bad about it, and we've definitely like flirted since then, so I don't think he like resents me for that at all.
This is something I just wanted to say, like, even though we did just say like be ready and like trust your instinct, whatever, like I think at the end of the day, if the way it happens isn't the way you always dreamed for it to happen, and it's like maybe a bit of a messy story and whatever, it's really not the end of the world. Like, you will have a lot of sex in your life, the chances are a lot of that sex will be bad, but a lot of it will be good, so don't worry if your first experience is just shit.
Yeah, and it wasn't like good or bad, it was just like I barely even remember it, and not because I was so drunk that I don't remember it, just it was like a while ago. I don't remember what happened. And like I regretted it because of my ex's reaction, and because maybe I didn't handle the whole situation in the best way, but I didn't regret the fact that it actually happened. And like I didn't feel unsafe. Like I knew, you know, we'd done like a lot of other stuff before, so it was kind of like I don't know, it just seemed like the right thing. But yeah, I think, as you were saying, not everything happens as you planned it. I definitely didn't plan for that to happen. Yeah, I feel good about it, and I definitely think that, like, I've had a lot of other sex, so it doesn't really matter. Like, I don't really care about that time anymore, and I don't think anyone involved really does. So, it's good.
Then it's good. Should we dive into maybe, like, more first relationship and breakup and...
Yeah.
Yeah, my first relationship was with the first girl I slept with. She was my first everything, my first kiss, my first anything. The first person I loved. So she was kind of key in a lot of my being introduced into this whole world of like sex and relationship. So a lot of it was like dictated by the way we worked together and the way we interacted. What kind of ended up being sort of like a recipe for how to act in relationships for me, as in like that's what I thought was normal or whatever. I don't know, because we paved each other's way to how we thought about relationships, I guess, because we were each other's firsts. And I think what came with that was, especially with the timing, I think like both of us were going through a lot of stuff, and I think already, because we were around 16, 17, and at that age I feel like a lot of stuff happens, and for us a lot of stuff happened. Like my mental health was like at its worst at some of those points. Her mental health wasn't good, and since we were in this like sort of like obsession with each other because it was our first relationship, we really like got deep into that. We kind of egged each other on in like a lot of bad behaviors, and like we helped each other a lot as well. Like it was obviously really nice to have someone there to understand it. And I think in terms of my mental health, and because it happened at the time of my first relationship, like it was very helpful because I had someone there to understand and guide me through a lot of that stuff. And I think it was nice in my first relationship to have someone that just cared for me and was like taking care of me. But yeah, I think it's a weird one to like be experiencing like this level of intimacy and intensity for the first time with someone. And I'm really happy that it was with the person that it was, because I loved her very much, and I think we were happy for a bit.
Yeah, you definitely had a lot of love for each other. Like, from my perspective, like it was a very loving, caring, intimate relationship.
Yeah, and I think, and then just to say a little bit on kind of a first breakup, I think I haven't had any others, so I don't want to jinx anything, but like I feel like a first breakup is like like falling in love is fucking, it hits you. Like you're like, what the hell is happening? But a first breakup, especially for me, because it was completely out of the blue, like literally completely out of the blue, was like, what the fuck is this shit? Like I was like, what
horrible.
is this?
It literally feels like your heart is being like ripped out of your body. Like that is just some unreal sensation.
It's horrible. It's literally horrible. And I just want to say about first breakups, since I haven't gone through it again, I don't know if this will change, but I think this is quite telling in a first breakup that you really, truly, truly believe, because I truly believe this, that I would never love anyone else. Like, I was like, I will never stop feeling this pain, and I will never love someone the way I loved my ex. And like, for a while, that was kind of true. I was like, I was so miserable, but then like, it ends. Like, and this is the beauty of it. Now that I've had my first one, I'm like, I know it ends. It ends. Yeah. Like now I'm like, I can get through it again. Like fucking hell, I hope it doesn't happen for a while. Like please, 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 God. But like, it hurts a lot. And really just hurts. Anyone that's going through a breakup, like for your first breakup especially, just know that it ends. I swear to you, it seems like it's never gonna end. Yeah. But I swear on my life, it will.
Everyone will literally tell you that as well. Like everyone can tell you whatever you want to hear. You can believe whatever you want to believe for as long as it takes for you to get over them. But eventually it will happen. You can do it. You can get through it. You have so many other important things in your life. You have your friends. Like, really use your friends. Like, they're there to help you. And yeah.
And I think also with first breakups, like, it might kind of like pave your way on how you deal with breakups. So if you go out and just start shagging anything that moves, like, and you'll be like, yeah, this works, so the next time you'll just do that. But like anyone that's done that, like gone and just like tried to get over someone, or like not even try to get over someone, try to get over something by just shagging with loads of people, you know that it like works for a bit, but then you just start to feel really horrible. And so like I just wouldn't recommend doing that. I would recommend like doing the like more sad breakup things, like let yourself just be sad and like eat ice cream and watch 500 Days of Summer every single day until you're not crying about it anymore, and then just like be like, right, shut up then, like get over it, Maria. Like
you have to decide for yourself that you want to get over it. Like you're allowed to have that period of like however long it takes to just lie in your bed and feel sorry for yourself. But like the day has to come at some point where you're like, you know, I'm just fucking sick of this and I'm gonna get over it.
So true. And then one more thing I want to say before, because I do want to hear your story, hon. I do want to say just real quick, also in first relationships and first breakups alike, it is very important to keep your friends close. And this is for any relationship and any breakup, because you don't want to like do what me and Honey did and like spend your entire first relationship just ignoring your friends and hanging out only with your significant other, and then comes like the breakup comes knocking and you're like, fuck, my best friend is my girlfriend, what do I do? So yeah, like spend, like, your friends will be there. The likelihood is, even if you treat your friends like shit throughout your relationship, they will be there, because friends are just better than any boyfriend or girlfriend will ever be at the end of the day.
Yeah.
They will never leave you, but like, just still try to not be a dick, and remember that they're there. Like, when the breakup comes, you'll be so fucking grateful you have these people around you. Trust me, like, they can change everything. Like, really, like, hold on to your friends.
Yeah, don't let it get to that point where you're like, I don't have anyone. Like, literally, well, you will have them, exactly as Maria just said, but like, stay friends with them the whole time. Not that you'll just stop being friends, but like, don't just ignore them. Like, that's not what being in a relationship is, and I think that's also just very unhealthy in itself. It puts a lot of pressure on the relationship.
For sure.
So yeah, that is something that I think we both learnt from our relationships. I'm gonna give a little disclaimer about my story, in that my ex knows fully what she did, and everything I'm about to say is like, we have discussed it many times. She has changed a lot since this happened, and I know she wouldn't feel uncomfortable with me saying these things, because she knows what she did and she's admitted it. She's apologized.
I think we might try to have an episode with Honey and her ex and kind of dissect the whole relationship, because I feel like there's a lot of lessons and topics to be covered here.
Yeah, definitely.
So yes, but anyway, Honey can give you a little cheeky little taster.
Yeah, so I'll just run through it quickly. Basically, we were together for around a year officially. During that time, we broke up a few times, and yeah, each time it was kind of like that horrible feeling, like.
So do you count, this is kind of an interesting question because I only had one breakup, really. Do you count like sort of the first breakup as like all of the summation of breakups, or is there like once, or like is it just the final one, or is there like one specific one that you're like, that was like fucking, that hurt? Or like is it more of a summation? Yeah, sorry.
Well, I don't know, it's really hard because we did break up officially, and I would count that as like the main one, but then there are other like small ones, and it was more mine wasn't like a clear cut, it was more like an evolution of like just moving apart. And like, yeah, so I'll explain. So during that time we were together, we broke up probably 3 times before we actually broke up. And what happened is that we just basically had a lot of shit going on, and we both definitely had like some mental health issues as well. She had a lot going on with her family, which obviously I will keep private because that's very personal, but she just had a lot going on, and I think that just made her really dependent on me, and I'm a very independent person, so it's very unlike me to be like sucked into a situation like that, or like, I don't know, it was a very new like sensation at the time, and I think I just felt very suffocated by the relationship. We kind of both spurred each other's misery on, I think, and like I'm definitely not proud of the way that I acted a lot of times in that relationship, and I think she would say the same thing, that like the way she treated me was like unacceptable and very unhealthy and very toxic, and it made me miserable. Like I developed like a nervous twitch, and like it was just not a good situation. So yeah, it was just a lot of shit. And
but do you think in tying it back to sort of first, do you think having that as your first experience sort of shaped you? As in, like, did it make you wary of, like, wanting to get into something else? Did it make you, like, be like, it's always gonna be like this? Or be like, it's never gonna be like this ever again? Like, what was kind of your take as that being your first experience?
It's definitely all of those things. Like, I would not wish anyone to have that first experience, and I don't think that she would either. But after it happened, I was definitely like, I didn't see it like that. It took me a long time to come to terms with it. And then once I had come to terms with it, I was like I never want that to happen to me again. I never want to feel like this again. And I was very wary of like ever developing feelings for anyone. And it definitely like influenced how I interacted with like people that I slept with, or people that like I knew liked me. Like I probably didn't deal with that very well. Like I can think of a few instances where I've been just like a bit of a dick because I've been very guarded. Yeah, it's like a combination of all those things. And then over time, like I'm not saying that I broke up with her and then that was the end of it. Like it was probably like a good year and a half before things actually ended, and like we still like saw each other all the time. And like I think that was like my biggest mistake, is that like staying friends with her and not like cutting ties completely, because it just made it very difficult. And like I think something we'll talk about quite a lot is like when you're young, you're very infatuated with someone, and like if you go to the same school as them, you see them every day, and it's very, very difficult to be like, I'm not going to talk to them, I'm not going to see them. Like we had similar friends, and like we shared friends, we shared teachers, we shared like the same environment every day, and we lived very close to each other. I think it was just a lot of things.
And also to separate the feeling of like, I know this person isn't good for me, with the like infatuation with them, and as well because you have so little self-worth, you're kind of like you don't recognize that maybe you do actually deserve better, and you should walk away, because it's just made that much harder by seeing them every day and stuff. So like but yeah, and I just think it's interesting, like your first relationship, and like I know a lot of people that have had like pretty like ever had quite intense first relationships or even just relationships along the way, and like we can see how much they can impact people. And I don't know, I just think it's important to, like, whether it's good or bad, like, you will have learned something. Like, I think even if, like, you did say you don't wish it upon anyone, I think we can both see that you learned a lot from it, and so did your ex. So I think for that, I'm, like, grateful as your friend, because I know now that you have, like, all of these, like, life lessons under your belt.
Yeah,
even
I've
though
definitely
I also
taken
would
them
never
all.
wish it upon anyone to, like, see their best friend go through this kind of shit, but, like, I'm glad now that you have all these lessons that like no one else could have the benefit of having or whatever. But so yeah, you will learn a lot, but
I don't regret like being in the relationship. What I regret is like the way that I dealt with it after.
Yeah.
And like letting it go on for so long. But I'm definitely glad that it did happen in some form, so that it was just kind of like a wake up call, and now I have like all these tools. I think if someone like struggles with like anxiety, it's hard, like, or like anything like that, it's hard to like attract positive people and positive like energy into your life. And I think if I hadn't had that experience, I wouldn't have those like tools in my mind of like what I want to attract from now on and like how I want to be treated. I think I would probably still be in like a similar situation. Not to say that I'm like perfect now and like I only accept like positive energy, because that's definitely not true. But yeah, I think I'm definitely still learning a lot of things, and I think that's because of my first experience. So
yeah, no, I know what you mean.
But I feel good with like how I'm dealing with it now. Like I feel really good with like the progress that I've made. So it's definitely a lot of positives too.
Should we do a little quick fire first round?
Yes, I think
to just sort of close off the episode, because I feel like we got kind of heavy towards the end. So
I think we should also just say that like this isn't gonna be like a completely like smutty, sexy like show. We are gonna dive deep. We love to dive deep, and it's gonna be a good balance of the two, I think. And I think it's definitely important to like have light-hearted conversations about sex with your friends, but also like talk about those serious things as well. So we kind of just want to encapsulate that in this podcast. So I will ask you some quick fire questions. When was your first Wang?
I don't have a solid memory of a first wank, I'm afraid, but I do remember that when I was like 12 or something. I didn't know that I was doing something. I thought I was doing something naughty, but I like didn't know what it was. But I wasn't even wanking. I was just like I would like get into bed and like pretend that I'd like gone on a date with a guy, and then like hug myself and like kiss my hand and like pretend he was like feeling me up and like feel myself up and that kind of stuff. But like it was more like, I don't know, but yeah, that's all of what I remember really. Do you have
I
first
also have
wank
like
memory?
a similar thing. Like I remember from like a very young age, probably like 10, being aware of like my clit and being like, this feels really good like when I touch it, but I didn't know that that was what it was. And then I didn't really do anything for a while. I think when I was probably like 15, I remember like discovering.
Yeah, I think I must have been like 14 or 15.
Yeah, and I remember
like around the time that I like started doing bits, I think, or maybe a little before probably, but
yeah, I remember like coming for the first time and being like, wow, what the fuck just happened? Like that was insane. And I didn't even know that that was what it was for like a while after as well. But yeah, when was your first kiss?
My first kiss, well, I already kind of said it too with my girlfriend. We'd like just kind of started seeing each other and we just kissed. And yeah. What about you?
Mine was with a boy at a party, and he was like, oh, hello, let's go. I think this was like one of the first times I got drunk. He was like, oh, let's go upstairs and like get some food. And I was like, oh yeah, let's go. And he like took my hand and led me up the stairs, and then we like started making out in the like laundry cupboard or something, like a laundry room. But I remember being like, oh, the art in this house is like really disgusting. And he was like, yeah, so true. And then my friends came looking for me and they were like, honey, what the fuck? Like, we can't leave you alone. Like, what are you doing? And like the guy is still, I don't know if this is in my head, but like he's still kind of weird with me now. And I don't know why. He was like, oh, do you want to like suck me off or like give me a hand job? And I was like, no. And then he was like, okay. And that was that.
Cute.
Yeah.
So romantic.
So cute. And then that kind of started like a spree for me of like just getting with people. I don't know. It just unlocked something within me.
What about your first STD, if you've ever had one?
Oh, yes, I've had chlamydia. It was so fun. Good time. Clap. Except I swear gonorrhea is actually the clap.
Yeah, I swear gonorrhea is the clap, but that makes no sense. So in this podcast, we're going to maintain that chlamydia is the clap.
But I mean, I think chlamydia is like the best one you can get. Like, you just have to take
Yeah, it's like the
antibiotics and it
starter.
goes away. And like,
Yeah, it's like the starter for STDs.
like
yeah.
nothing happens as long as you get rid of it quickly. Like, it's all good.
Yes, I agree. My first STD was also chlamydia,
You're
and I got it
so
3 times in a row. But I will tell a story another time.
The only thing I will say is that the antibiotics are like the worst thing in the world.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
they make
they're
you feel
so horrible.
so sick.
Yeah, try not to get chlamydia, guys.
Yeah, like don't try and get it. But I mean, if you do, like, it's not the end of the world. Like, I cried when I found out, and then I was like, oh, it's not that deep. It's fine.
Yeah, I was really annoyed at you that you were like overreacting so much. I was just like, oh, come on, you can just get rid of it. Like, stop crying.
And I was crying because
You're
I was
not
like, I'm gonna have to
dying.
call everyone that I've slept with and like tell them that I have chlamydia. Like, that's so
When I got it,
unfair.
I had to like tell 3 guys that I was like living with in the same place. Like, we weren't in the same house, but it was like the same place. It was so awkward, and I had to
Oh.
see them all the time.
Yeah, I had to call up my ex, the guy that I lost my straight virginity to, and another guy to be like, oh, by the way.
Oh,
Oh yeah, and the guy
Don't
that
get
gave me chlamydia
Have safe
texted
sex.
me like over a year later being like, oh hey, like, do you want to come over? I was like, all right, no.
No, chlamydia boy.
Yeah, fuck you, chlamydia boy. First time doing bit.
Yes. Well, mine was with my girlfriend, but like outside of that, like the first time I ever. It was okay, well, both of my first doing bits were both with the people I lost my straight and my gay virginity. So like the first vagina I saw was to the girl I had sex with for the first time, and the first penis I saw was to the guy I had sex with, was the guys I had sex with for the first time. So I don't have any good stories. Mine are just really generic. What's yours?
Mine is with this guy that went to our school. Yeah, I don't really know what I was thinking with that, but yeah, it just happened. Bit of experimentation, you know, when you're young, never a bad thing.
But one time Honey gave someone a hand job
Oh my
under my
God.
coat and didn't tell me.
Oh
She
my
lied
God.
about it.
Oh my God.
She lied to me about it and then confessed.
Sorry. I'm so sorry. Okay, I feel really bad about it now. I don't feel good about it. I'm sorry.
It's fine. I don't actually care that much.
You were so
What
mad at
about-
the time, though. You were so mad at me.
I know.
I think that was like the most mad you've ever been at me, apart from like at Pride.
What about your first one night stand?
My first one night stand was also with the guy that gave me chlamydia. It was wild. We like just did everything
Oh my
I
God, this is
possibly
such a
could
good
have done.
story.
And then, oh my God, I decided, I was like 18, so I was like, yeah, I can like go out and do whatever the fuck I want. But then it was like 3 a.m. I had like 30 missed calls from my mom and from Maria and our friend Kiara being like, honey, what the fuck? Where are you? Are you alive? And then I
Yeah,
just
'cause she wasn't
respond,
replying.
ha 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 ha, I'm covered in blood.
Yeah. Like, it had been hours of like Honey just going on her first Tinder date. She downloaded Tinder that day, went to meet this guy, didn't reply to us for hours, and then she finally replies. We had no idea where she was. Then she finally replies and goes, ha 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 ha, I'm covered in blood. Because she was on her period, but like I didn't fucking know that. To me that was
Yeah,
just
in
like, I'm
hindsight, that
dying.
was,
I was
like, not the
kidnapped and I'm
best
dying.
thing. I mean, it's funny now. It wasn't funny at the time. This was also just like a classic example of me being like, I'm gonna get over my ex and I'm gonna have sex with someone, and then I decided to do that, and it was wild. We'll go into this in like more depth another time. And then the first time someone hit on you, I literally don't remember. I think someone asked me out like while I was still with my ex, like just in public, and I was like, oh yeah. If I even had a girlfriend, I was probably just like mad at her and like wanted to get back at her by saying yes to this guy, and then I just blocked his number when he tried to text me.
I have no idea. I really don't remember, but I do remember this one time this guy came up to me on the street. I was walking in Shoreditch and he just came up to me on the street and he was like, I like your jumper. And I was like, oh, thanks. And I had a girlfriend at the time. And he's like, yeah, do you want to have sex with me? Like straight up. And I was like, nice. And I was like 16. Like I was a minor and like, I had a girlfriend and I was like, no, sorry, I have a girlfriend. And he's like, oh, so you're a lesbian? And I'm like, no. And then I kind of just walked away. But I didn't tell my first one night stand.
Oh yeah, fuck, tell her.
Because I just looked, because I couldn't remember which one it was, and I just looked. I don't even know this is a one night stand because it was more of a 1 day stand because it happened in the middle of the day. Both of us completely sober, not a drop of alcohol or anything in my blood. I'd never spoken to this guy in my life in person, only texted him. I was obsessed with him for God knows what reason. I just thought he was hot. He was in a band. I'd slept with one guy before this, and I think I just thought I was the shit. So I was like, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna come to your fucking house and take your virginity. And yeah, it happened. That happened.
Impressive.
It happened. He kept his clothes on the entire time. It was weird, and I didn't know what I was doing. He didn't know what he was doing. It was the middle of the day. It was so weird. Never saw this kid again.
Oh my god. Okay, well, I feel like that's a really good note to end on.
Yes. Thank you guys so much for listening to us.
Yes, we hope you enjoyed our first ever episode, and we will be releasing an episode every week. If you have anything you want us to talk about, you can DM us on our Instagram at sextraspodcast, or you can email us sextraspodcast@gmail.com, and you can follow me on Instagram at _honeywyatt
and me at madgehatels. So we will see you next Tuesday.
Bye.
You've been listening to Sextras, presented by Honey Jane Wyatt and Maria Jose Hayodatiyi, produced by Mabel Productions.